such a time as this.
And welcome to For Such a Time As This, a special recording. Should we talk about the weather? Should we talk about the NBA? Should we talk about March Madness? No, to be honest, there's only one thing anyone who's claiming to talk about current events and news, there's only one thing we can talk about. I am here with a special round table with Prof. Abigail and Prof. Dennis.
Good afternoon, Pastor
Hello.
James.
This coronavirus, I have a lot to say, and I may not be in the majority, but here we go. Prof. Abby, kick us off as we talk about this coronavirus and the scare of scares.
All right. Well, I want to start by just saying that, look, I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm
one
not
on
an
TV,
economist. I never played one on TV even. So everything I'm going to say, I'm going to try to do so with humility, knowing that I don't know everything, but
you're close.
But
though,
I do
Abby.
have an opinion.
Yes.
From what I can tell, from what I've heard, I have listened to the press conferences, I have done reading. I think we're committing economic suicide, and that's going to be a much greater problem than coronavirus could have ever begun to be. And I'll explain that once we go around once or twice.
Gotcha. Prof. Dennis.
Well, and you can
spread your wisdom if you...
Yeah, right. What?
Spread your wisdom if you care.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things, and we talk about, just going off of what Abby said, was, the deaths and stuff, the real problem. If economic times get really bad, are there going to be any deaths in results of that alone? Or
they're not talking about that though.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's one thing that just popped in my head. But I'd emailed some questions, which now coming back to me, and they're typical questions, usually from atheists. Is God good? Did He allow this? If He did, that doesn't make Him a good God. Is He an all-powerful God? If He's a good God, why didn't He stop it? I think those questions got to be lurking a little bit somewhere out there. Or did He do it deliberately? And if so, why or why not? So those are some questions. I don't know if we'll get to it today necessarily, but...
If not, we're going to break this up into two segments, possibly. First 20 minutes and the next 20 minutes. We'll do a part one and a part two. But here's my sense of it. This is not normal stupidity. It is stupidity, but it's not normal stupidity. My angle on this is that this has to be spiritual in nature.
Ooh.
It has to me, because the numbers don't say it. The H1N1 and the common flu kills way more than the corona. We did this nothing with the swine flu, the H1N1. We did none of this. I think, and I'm going to tie it to, I'm going to play a clip later on as we get deeper into this. I'm going to play a clip in which I said this from the beginning of 2020, that the globalists had to strike back because two things they could not allow. One, they could not allow for a full, comprehensive withdrawal from the UK from the EU, the Brexit. And then two, they could not, for the sake of globalism, allow President Trump, who is the world-renowned face of the traditionalist movement, anti-globalism, they could not allow him to be elected again, because I do not think that the globalists thought they could withstand another 4 years of Trump so he can affect his traditionalist views to Brazil and to Britain and to the other parts of the world. They had to do something. I said that in January, and I'm going to play the clip. The globalists had to strike back in 2020.
So are you saying this isn't an accident?
I am saying that if you look at the coronavirus on its pure objective numbers, it doesn't come close to the flu, the H1N1, the swine flu, none of it.
Yeah, it's not.
You
None
say
of-
they're
well,
not,
well,
they're
the
not
reaction
makes no
wasting a
sense.
crisis.
Well, the reaction to it, I'll give you. But how about
Yes.
the virus itself? Not
Of
that
course,
we,
the virus is true. The common cold is true. Right?
no,
The
but I mean-
virus, the flu is true. The coronavirus is true. No
What-
one's doubting that.
No. Was this done on purpose? Just the virus part.
No, I don't think
I don't think
he's
it has
saying
to be
that.
done on
Okay, just
purpose.
asking.
No.
Just getting
I
my
think it's a
clarification.
normal. I think it's a virus.
Okay.
It's a
Well,
virus
I mean, like
all other
anything else, nothing special.
viruses. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But
They-
the
they-
reaction to
But the reaction is historic, and I think Abby or you brought it up that the cure is going to be worse than the disease.
Mm.
Was that Abigail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cure is
Yeah,
going to be
that
worse than
was
the
me.
disease because if most people realize there's a lot of patients who die from the chemo and the radiation before they die from the cancer. But here's the thing. I don't think the coronavirus was a powerful cancer. It's the reaction that makes no sense. Yes, people are dying. Yes, the coronavirus can kill, and it has killed. No one's debating that. I'm saying look at the raw numbers from the coronavirus compared to the common flu. There is no comparison. The common flu is more deadly, according to the numbers.
And I'll back you up on that because I did listen to the press conference, President Trump's press conference yesterday, wherein Dr. Anthony Fauci was speaking from the CDC. And here's some quotes. The biggest unknown is what is going to happen with it ultimately. He also said most won't be infected. He also said we don't know how it is going to act. So how on earth can we be taking these extreme
Exactly.
measures of semi-quarantine
Exactly.
if we don't even know? And he's the expert. That he's the guy they're turning to.
He's the point person who says, I don't know. Then why are you tanking the economy
Exactly.
when you don't know?
well, and that, I mean, if you're not hinting at it already here, and this is part of the email I was going to send. I still may send it to you guys, the people in the room here. But it was something like, I'm glad our government would never take advantage of a situation and never use it to manipulate or control the populace. I mean, they would never stomp on our constitutional rights and privileges.
Uh-oh.
Or if they did, they would very quickly be reinstated. I'm glad our government would do something, would reinstate them quickly. There's just a smidge of sarcasm there. for
Yeah.
those.
Let me play what I said here on For Such a Time as This in January, because I knew 2020 would be a pivotal year when it comes to the struggle between globalism and traditionalism. Here's what I said at the beginning of this year. We're going to continue to talk about issues of the church, particularly the second coming, globalism. Where do we see that in Scripture? What's going on with the church as it pertains to the end times? And although we will never give a date, we will never give a day. Scripture forbids us from doing that. It says no man know the day or the hour. But we know the season. And the things that I see, the things that you see, I'm sure it is the season. There's no explanation for the madness that is going on in our country and in the world. And then we're going to add something new this year. There is no explanation for the madness we see in our world. I said that in January as it pertains to globalism. And so what's going to happen? We shut down for 2 weeks. Do we know how many businesses are gone after 2 weeks? You're
Right.
starting to see a little bit here and there. Restaurant owners, small business owners saying they can't last 2 weeks.
Supposedly, the government's going to infuse and protect and do some things.
Yeah, send
and
people
where-
checks.
Yeah, and where is that money coming from? Where is it coming from? At the very least, you're going to explode the deficit.
Yeah, but the individual, well, we'll talk about that. We should have, Professor Chris here for the deficit stuff, but that would be an interesting conversation. But I think the individuals, I don't know that we can really forecast how people, if the government did nothing,
Forecast
yes,
what?
these businesses going under.
Oh no, the
I
business
already
owners are
know
saying
someone
it.
who was fired.
They're already saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the government may force them to reinstate them too. I mean, they got
Now the government is going to step in and start forcing
are
businesses.
you? Wait a minute. Does that sound bizarre to you?
That's a problem.
Yeah, but does that sound out of the realm?
Yes.
You've got the Family Leave Act. You've got all these other things where you can leave your business and then you get
that. All of those have been confined to certain specifics, such as birth.
Well, this is specific
whatnot.
to the virus.
Yeah, but in New York City, the governor, the mayor, is saying he's going to suspend all rent.
Well, see how that works.
Oh goodness!
It's crazy.
It doesn't work.
The government will protect us
because the government's just going to print more money.
Yes.
Print more money, and now the
and hand it
government
out.
is in control of every aspect of
they'll never
lives.
devalue that money, and they'll never say that it's worthless, and they'll never cause another crisis to deal with the monetary crisis. I mean, everything will go smooth after this.
Yeah, that's sarcasm for people who don't know Professor Dennis.
Exactly.
It is dangerous, and again, I can see if people are dropping like flies. Absolutely.
Right. I can see too.
My goodness. Again, for people who may disagree or question what I'm saying, look at the amount of people who have died from the flu since late November, as opposed to the people who have died by the coronavirus. It is not even close. It's not even close.
And I sent out an article to friends. You were among them yesterday, coming from out of MIT, about herd immunity. And basically, when you have a pandemic, according to the article, there are two ways. There's only one way it's going to stop, and that's through herd immunity. There are two ways to get that means that enough people within the population have to become immune to it.
Prof. Abby, who wrote that? Because I'm going to quote from this MIT guy too. You know?
It's a different guy. It's Antonio Regalado.
Gotcha.
And basically, you can get immunity from a vaccine, which by all accounts are months, if not more than a year away, or people being exposed to the virus. Now, but the thing is, and I'll just read you his last sentence because it's just chilling. He says, suppressing transmission, which is what we're doing now, by the way, means that we won't build up herd immunity, says Azra Ghani, the lead epidemiologist on the new model of the outbreak from Imperial College London. The trade-off of success is that, quote, that we are driving it down to such a low level that we have to keep those measures in place, end quote.
And for those of you who did not see the president's press conference, the one lady who was a journalist said she's now starting reading reports that the course we are on, in order for it to be successful, will have to be in place for 18 months. That is
impossible.
Ludicrous.
Well, wait a minute.
That is crazy.
But wouldn't that be?
But they're already floating the idea.
Yeah,
We're
but
3 days into this, and they're already floating the idea, which I said from the very beginning. Did I not, Prof. Abby? That 2 weeks is nothing. The 2 weeks is only
Why 2 weeks?
To let people get used to the idea, and at the end of the 2 weeks, they're going to say we need more time.
They did not make their case. They did not make their case for 2 weeks. They did not make their case for quarantine. As far as I'm concerned, again, I don't know everything. I know I don't know everything, but this all looks really bad to me. Go ahead.
Well, let
Prof.
me
Dennis.
give a prediction. Oh, and I think the educational institution took away my prof part, so I'm just me. But trying to be a prophet, I'll be a prophet instead of a professor.
It's a little higher bar, but go ahead.
Yeah. But this one I think will work pretty good. Maybe not this round, but pretty close. I wonder if somebody will come on the scene under this current way things are going, and as you guys have talked about here, that would come up with a solution. And everyone will have to go with it because it just is the right thing to do.
I think eventually what you're saying, that's not going to be until 3.5 years.
Well, but he's
a group is going to come up.
Yeah, well, he's got to come. I mean,
he'll be revealed halfway through it.
Well, he's going to be. You'll see something in the beginning of it. It's
he'll,
not going to.
He'll be on the stage. We won't know who he is.
Well, he'll be Mr. Nice Guy.
Yes.
He may be in the background and.
Yes.
But yeah.
I do want to read this from Tech Startups. I want to read this. It's going to be a little extensive. It says, MIT biologist says fear-mongering on coronavirus will go down as biggest fraud to manipulate economies.
Well, can we throw evolution in there too? It's
Yes,
the biggest fraud that'll go
evolution,
down,
but
but that's another thing.
We're not talking about evolution. Well, you know what? Think about this. If they truly believe in evolution, survival of the fittest,
Ding,
let's
ding, ding.
not quarantine anything.
That's right.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway, here's what it says. Dr. Shiva Ayudure, I'm butchering that. I'm sorry, doctor. An MIT scientist with four PhD degrees and a researcher on the human immune system is one of the most respected experts who think the media and the deep state, quote unquote deep state, are doing the world a disservice by exaggerating the impact of the virus. He said it's time to stop scaring people and start talking about immune health. Dr. Shiva is not alone. Professor Jihad Bishara, a leading Israeli virologist, a virus doctor, an infectious disease expert, slams the unnecessary and exaggerated panic about coronavirus and urges world leaders to calm down.
Yes,
world
please.
leaders to calm down and calm the public. Professor Jihad Basada is the director of the infectious disease unit at Rayban Medical Center, Bill and Son Hospital in Petach Tikva, Israel. In a statement on Sunday, he urged world leaders to calm their citizens about the corona pandemic. He said people are being whipped into unnecessary panic. So it's not just the great minds that for such a time as this. There's virologists and an immunologist who has 4 PhDs who are saying the same thing we were saying here.
Well, you're misunderstanding the sentence there. Or he's got the you got subject, verb, and object, right? Isn't that how that works? He's using the word disservice as the verb there. It's not a disservice to the deep state.
Correct.
And the media.
Correct. But you are ascribing evil motives.
No way. I wouldn't do that.
For those of you who don't know Prof. Dennis, that's sarcasm again. His name is Prof. Sarcasm Dennis. That's his middle name. He think it is actually in the list in Galatians when it comes to spiritual gifts. We keep trying to tell him it's not.
But
he
it is in
thinks
mine.
it is.
Version.
Look at the next paragraph. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. We're going to still be on that topic, so go ahead.
Here's what it says. These two experts are right. Back in October 2009, the H1N1 killed 1,000 people in the United States, including almost 100 children, before President Obama later declared national emergency for the virus. At the time, the media hysteria was not as high as it is today. Earlier today, we also published a story using data from CDC and WHO, whatever that is, that tells
World Health Organization.
World Health Organization. Oh, that's the Antichrist. Okay. All right. World Health Organization that tells a different story from what the media has been saying. Again, so they're using raw data from before, saying that the coronavirus is not even close to the H1N1. And to date, how many people have died in the United States from this? Like, I saw 114, just above 114.
105 deaths as of this
morning.
Yesterday, as of yesterday.
This morning, I
was
think it's
105.
114. And we're doing all of this?
And it just seems to me that
unbelievable.
if the herd immunity, I don't know if I want to call it a theory or what it is, but if that's right,
it's
we
been
are
around for a while.
I think so. We are doing all the wrong things, because what happens at the end of 2 weeks if the restrictions are lifted, won't it just explode then? Or are they trying to buy time in order to get equipped? But they did not spell that out in the press conference.
That's why they're saying 18 months now. They're saying 18 months.
18 months until what, though?
Before we can stop the quarantine.
So you just suppress it out of and the world economy, and it's not even just the United States economy. You suppress the world economy out of existence in I mean, long before 18 months, I'm going to say.
We're running out of time, but what in Scripture, taking the Christian angle, what in Scripture...
Didn't I just say this already?
You're late to the party. I started off with that.
Baloney.
You were
what
hinting,
what in
Dennis.
Scripture tells us about a worldwide economic upheaval?
Or control.
Control. Last parting words for this first part. Prof. Abby or Dennis, who wants to go first? Go, Prof. Dennis.
Well,
Last words.
You go first. I'm sure I'll come up with something.
Okay, obviously, we're talking about an antichrist who rises, the one world government, etc. That is straight out of Scripture. And any Bible-believing Christian, unless they're a baby Christian, knows that. But if this is not that, and that's
could be.
It could be. Maybe yes, maybe no.
Correct. We don't know.
But the only way out of this that I can see is to go through it, and that's the one way. That is the one thing that is not being talked about.
But here's what the problem with that is, Prof. Abby. Are you saying the president, the Senate, the House, and all of the governments of the world don't see it?
It's hard to imagine that they don't, honestly.
Well, some of them.
Name one government that's saying, hold your horses.
No. Blinded. Doesn't it talk about Satan blinding the eyes of men?
Yeah.
I'm just quoting, this book.
Okay, so your last words.
Well, a couple things. One, and I'm not original in saying this, it's amazing, and not just that it's a little bug, but this situation really is small for the impact that it's having. I mean, the proportion, like 9/11. I mean, the two buildings going down. Yes, so 3,000 people or more lost their lives. That was tragic. That was huge, but it impacted our nation, and it was just planes running into buildings. Yeah. So, this is a very small thing, and it is global.
Take the emotion out of it.
Well,
right.
Take the emotion out of it. 3,000 people died in the World Trade bombings of planes going to 3,000.
Yeah.
We're up to 114.
Oh my goodness!
And look at what's going on.
And let me ask one more question.
Wait. Let's bring that over to the next one, so we have material for the next one.
Okay.
Well, and the last thing is, if this isn't the one, this is just a test, a dry run,
a birth pang.
A test.
Well, sure.
Pain. So here's my thing. We'll get into the next hour because as we speak this morning, there was an earthquake in Divers Place. Utah just had a 5.17 earthquake this morning. You all have known that.
Really?
So we're starting to see
virus did
all
that?
of these things. We're starting to see all these things converge. Thank you. Listen to the next part, and we'll pick up this conversation soon.
Such a time as this.